I had been suffering from a pain in my lower molar for 2 weeks. I was trying to ignore it by taking painkillers from the drugstore, but in Chicago, the harsh winter makes everything worse. My job at the warehouse requires lifting heavy things. The pain started to spread to my entire jaw, and I could no longer stand this pain. I searched the internet for a dental clinic near my house, a cheap place with quick appointments. I found one clinic called Smile Care Clinic on Google. It had 4.8 star ratings, and the clinic photos were clean with smiling doctors. I booked an appointment for the following afternoon. I told myself it was just a tooth cleaning, and it would only take an hour. I arrived right at 3 o'clock. The clinic was in an old red brick building. I walked into the reception area, which was quiet, and a young staff member greeted me with a professional smile. She said Dr. Harris was ready. I sat in the waiting room, which had old magazines about health. A strong smell of disinfectants pierced my nose. After a few minutes, the staff member called me. I entered the medical examination room. The dental chair was shiny white, and the tools were arranged neatly on the table. Dr. Harris was a man in his 40s with black hair, a little bit of gray on the sides. He wore thick glasses and spoke with a calm American accent. He asked me to sit in the chair and started examining my molar. He said the molar was rotten and needed an immediate filling, and perhaps an extraction if the filling didn't work. I felt relieved because the doctor seemed professional. But when I lay back, I noticed something strange. In the corner, there was a side door locked with an electronic lock. And from under the door, I saw a thin line of blue light blinking, as if from a medical device. I asked the doctor about this light. He said it was an equipment storage room, and I saw him smiling. I don't know why he is smiling. He started injecting the anesthesia, and I felt the cold spreading in my mouth. Then I heard a faint sound from behind the door. A long sighing sound, as if someone was trying to breathe under something heavy. My heart pounded, but the anesthesia started to take effect. The doctor left me for a minute and went out of the examination room. My eyes fell on a slightly open drawer under the table. Inside were transparent plastic bags filled with dark red liquids. Weird medical codes were written on them. After he returned, I asked him again about the bags. He said they were sterilization materials. The room was very cold, colder than usual in dental clinics. And then came the part that changed everything. As he leaned over me to start drilling, a small folded paper fell from his coat pocket next to the chair I was sitting on. The doctor bent down and picked up the paper, but I saw the words, "Patient number 47, kidney viable, blood type O positive, extraction scheduled February 14th. Today's date was February 13th. I felt a chill down my spine despite the anesthesia. I tried to get up, but he placed his hand on my shoulder gently and said, "Relax, everything is fine." At that moment, I felt that I was not in a normal dental clinic. My mind was spinning fast. The anesthesia made my mouth heavy, but my ears were sharp. I heard footsteps behind the side door, whispering sounds between two young men, words like "the black market is active today," and "the new liver is being sold at a higher price." I tried to convince myself that it was the anesthesia hallucination, but the paper I saw was real. Dr. Harris continued his work. He started talking in a low voice about his patients, whom he treated. He smiled again, as if he was testing my reaction. I raised my hand slowly, pretending to cough, and tried to look around more. On the top shelf, there was a small box, partially open. It contained thin tubes and labels bearing names of organs. Liver, heart, cornea. I felt nausea rising due to the terror creeping into my bones. This is not a doctor. This is part of a network. I remembered the news I had read previously about gangs stealing organs in major cities. They were targeting immigrants, the poor, and those who have no family. I am an immigrant from Latin America, and I live alone. No one asks about me if I disappear. I try to get up, but the anesthesia was strong. My legs were weak, and Dr. Harris pressed a button on the device. I heard a faint whistling sound, and the young staff member entered quickly, carrying an extra syringe. She said he needs a sedative dose. In those seconds, I saw through the door, which she had opened slightly, another dark room. A metal bed and a person covered with a white sheet. Tubes are connected to him, and the sound of a ventilator. My eyes caught a tattoo on the doctor's arm when he raised his hand. A medical symbol with a small dagger. The same symbol I saw in the news reports about the Harvest Circle gang that disappeared 2 years ago after a scandal in Detroit. Everything started to match, and the threads began to tangle in my mind. I tried to scream, but my voice came out garbled. Fear made my heart beat like war drums, and cold sweat drenched my forehead. I remembered my phone in my pocket and tried to reach for it stealthily, but my hand was slow, and the staff member noticed. And she smiled a cold smile and said, "Don't worry, every patient goes through this phase." The room started to feel like a grave. The walls were pressing in, and the fluorescent lights were flickering like dead eyes. I was thinking about how I got here. Just a normal toothache, and here I am trapped in a human factory. When the treatment was finished, they helped me up with a hidden force. I felt very dizzy. My mouth was completely numb, but my mind was awake. I walked out of the room swaying. The staff member was helping me reach the outer door, but I noticed that the side door was now partially open, and I saw inside it tables and surgical instruments. I saw another person tied up, and his eyes were open, but empty. I tried to run toward the outer door, and Harris stood in front of me. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "The follow-up appointment is tomorrow, my friend." I went out into the snow, and the cold air slapped me. I rushed to my old car, and my shaking hands tried to turn the key. I locked the doors and called the police immediately. My voice was trembling as I described everything. They said they would send a patrol within 10 minutes. I waited in the car, watching the clinic from afar. After 3 minutes, a black van left from the back, loaded with boxes. The patrol finally arrived. They entered the clinic and conducted a search, but after minutes, they came out and said the clinic does not have the things you told us about. There are no patients in the clinic, and no organs, and the records are clean. I looked at them, stunned, and tried to explain the matter in more detail, but they said that I might be under the influence of drugs or stressed. I went home and locked everything. I slept a little, but the nightmares came. The next morning I found a note under my door that said, "The follow-up appointment is in 2 days. Don't be late or we will come to you." My phone started ringing from an unknown number. Harris's voice asked me why I reported it to the police, and he hung up after my question. He didn't wait to hear my point of view. I felt that he would not leave me alone, and would plan to harm me. I fled to another city and changed my name, but I still don't feel safe. I live in constant fear. I look behind me in every street, and I know they won't stop. Maybe I am next, or maybe you, if you book an appointment at a clinic that looks very ordinary. The day I opened that package was a perfectly normal day. In my small apartment on the outskirts of Seattle, the weather was cold and rainy, just like any other winter day here. I had just returned from my job at the tech company, where I work as a programmer. The package was waiting at the door from a well-known shipping company. It had an official Dell sticker and a full barcode on it. Even the description in the tracking said it was a new Dell XPS 15 laptop. I bought it from Amazon after saving for months to upgrade my work setup. I opened the door and I brought the package into my apartment. I could smell the damp paper from the rain. I was smiling as I slowly peeled off the plastic tape. I was imagining the new screen and the keyboard that would make writing code easier. But as soon as I lifted the lid, the smell hit me first. A sharp metallic odor, like blood that was still fresh. And beneath the bubble wrap, I found a human female hand, severed at the wrist. The skin was pale white with fingernails painted in chipped red polish. Wrapped around it was transparent plastic wrap stained with dried blood. I stood frozen and my heart stopped for a second. My mind refused to believe it. I thought it was a sick joke or a doll, but when I touched it with my trembling finger, the coldness and the texture, just like real flesh, made me recoil and scream. The blood was slightly congealed on the plastic, and on her middle finger was a small silver ring with a broken heart engraving on it. I called the police immediately. My voice was shaky as I tried to describe what I had seen. The officer who spoke to me asked me to be calmer and to leave the package exactly as it was. The following hours were a nightmare. The police filled the apartment and photographed everything. They asked me questions about my life, about any grudges, about the online purchase. They told me that the package didn't come from Amazon at all. The barcode was fake, and the return address was from another state, Oregon. I spent the whole night trembling, unable to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the hand and the fingernails that looked as if they had tried to scratch something before being cut off. The investigation began to progress slowly. They said the hand belonged to a woman in her 30s named Emily, who had been missing for 2 months. There had been reports about her in a nearby city, but I felt something was wrong, because I noticed that this ring looked like one I had seen in an old photo of an ex-girlfriend, but I refused to believe myself. The days that followed turned my life into a living hell. The police returned after 2 days and said that the fingerprints on the plastic wrap didn't match anyone known. But there were skin cells under the fingernails from someone else, whom I believe was a man. I started noticing strange things in the apartment. I would find the bedroom curtain slightly open every morning, even though I was sure I had closed it. And once I found a print on the outside of the window glass as if someone had stood there watching. The terror started eating me from the inside out. I couldn't focus on work. I kept thinking about who sent that package and why me in particular. I called my ex-girlfriend Megan, who used to live in Oregon. Her number was disconnected, and when I tried to reach out to her family, they said she had been missing for a while. The police took the laptop that was supposed to be inside the package, but they found an empty hard drive inside it, except for one 10-second video file. It showed surveillance footage in an apartment similar to mine, and a person slowly moving their hands as if they were mimicking my movements. I locked myself in, changed the locks, and bought cameras, but the fear didn't leave. It took hold of me. 4 days later, on a rainy night, I heard a light knock at the door. I opened it after a long hesitation, but I didn't find anyone. But on the ground there was a small envelope without a stamp. Inside was a photo of me sleeping in my bed, taken from inside the room. My heart almost stopped, and I ran to the police again. But they said that the investigation takes time, and that it could be someone who knows me very well. I started doubting every coworker, the neighbors, even the guy who delivers the packages. The nights were worse. I would hear light footsteps in the hallway. And once, I woke up in the middle of the night to drink some water. I found the hand that was kept by the police. A photo of it was sent to my mobile from an unknown number, with a message that read, "She used to love you. Now it's your turn." The fear made me lose control. I started drinking to get to sleep. I kept thinking that this person had been watching me for months. Maybe they used the package as a way to get this message to me, and that Emily was a random victim, or connected to me in a way I don't know. The following weeks were the true end of any normal life I had. The police arrested a suspect, a man who worked at the shipping warehouse itself. But after questioning him, it turned out he was just a middleman, and that the original package was swapped on the way. I started sleeping in different hotels every night, afraid to go back to the apartment. One day, I went back to check the mail. I found another small package, this time without any shipping labels. Inside was a silver bracelet that belonged to Megan, stained with blood, and a note written by hand. The laptop was a gift so you could watch the videos I recorded for you. I opened my old laptop and found hidden files, recordings of me in various places, even in the bathroom. The horror reached its peak when I discovered that the unknown number sending the messages was linked to my own account. As if this person had hacked my entire digital life. I tried to run. I traveled to another city. In the hotel, I found a long hair stained with blood on the pillow, and a new photo of me while I was sleeping. The police said the investigation had reached a dead end, and the main suspect committed suicide in prison before he could talk. I'm now living in constant fear. I change my name and where I sleep daily, but every day I expect a new package, or another hand, or something worse. I don't know who is doing this and why, but I know that the game is still on and that the hand that opened the first door was just the beginning. If you hear a knock on your door at dusk, don't open it, because that package might be coming for you too.